And we are live. And I'm telling you guys, I have a very, very dear friend of mine on here today, and his name is Jason Howland. There's a good chance I'm going to pop something up on the screen. There's a good chance that you may have seen his video the other day. He was in Lansing, Michigan, and he was down there protesting, man, what the governor of Michigan has done. There's the video that he did. He was live streaming, and as you see, as of just about 10 minutes ago, that thing was up to 903,000 views, 21,000 comments, and it's been shared 37,000 times. And I am freaking excited. And absolutely, you guys need to give a really, really big, warm welcome to my buddy, Jason Howland. Jason, come on, man. How you doing?
Hey, best day of my life, man. How are you?
this is gonna be something else, man. Jason Alt, we got Jason Alt, we got Dan Kelleher on here. What's up, Dan? What's up, Jason?
What's going on, Dan?
Ryan Hess is in the house. Ernest Odell, what's going on? Glenn Caldwell. We got people from all over the freaking world right now watching us, bro. And Brian says, America.
What's up, Brian? No, man, it's awesome. Thanks for having me on, Ken. We were just chatting on the phone yesterday, and Ken says, hey, you should come on tomorrow. I'm like, all right, man, let's do it. So here I am.
Here we are. So, dude, you went down. You and 100,000 of your friends went down to went over to Lansing, Michigan. I was telling my buddy Glenn Morshower, we were just talking about Glenn. I was telling him, I said, you got to watch this video of my buddy in Lansing, Michigan. I said, Lansing's the capital of Michigan. He goes, hey, Ken, just for future reference, I actually might be intelligent enough to realize that Lansing is the capital of Michigan. So, dude, you were in Lansing along with about 100,000 other people.
Yeah,
and
it was.
Talk a little bit about that. What was that all about?
So, in Michigan, the governor has put huge restrictions on the citizens. I mean, I know that a lot of people around America, around the world, have restrictions on them right now. Michigan are some of the harshest. Big stores can't sell any seeds or gardening, anything. You can't go fishing. You can't get in your motorboat. I know Trump mentioned that yesterday in his press conference. You're on a boat. You're in the middle of a lake. You're probably about as safe as it could be. So there's just a lot of really tough restrictions, and a lot of us feel that we're big enough people to make these decisions on our own. So I went down there, and my mission really has been since this thing started. And I'll give you a little background too. So I work with small business owners, mostly service-based contractors. So I create sales systems. This is not my regular job documenting coronavirus stuff, but I have clients though. And as I'm watching, I'll give you an example of what I saw as this thing started to unfold and people started to get locked down and all of this. I saw clients that, typically this month, April, for example, one client I know would do somewhere between 500,000 and 600,000 in revenue this month. Well, it's going to cost him 40 grand just to keep open, to stay on hold this month, right? Jeez. And so I see my clients, all of them, going through that same thing, applying for loans that they can't, the internet's broken. There's so many people trying to apply for them. And this whole lockdown thing I felt was wrong. So I also had a gut feeling that something else was wrong. And so that's when I started going. I was actually at the grocery store one day, and we do the pickup at the curbside. We've always done that for like a year, but I go to the grocery store, and there's no parking spots at the pickup, and there's no toilet paper, and I'm like, what is going on? I remember you had called me like a night before that. Yeah. So I'm like, you know what? There's a hospital right down the street. Let me go see. you know, and so I drive
just out of curiosity.
yeah, I really
occurred to you.
honestly just wanted to know. So I went in this tent. They got this tent and it's blowing in the wind and there's nobody in it. And the security guard's there and he's like, you can't go in the tent. I'm like, no problem. I won't go in the tent. He's like, I'm like, is it busy? He goes, actually, it's really slow.
Wow.
And I'm like, now tell me, because the news said the hospital I was at was actually overrun. I mean, they're giving these descriptions on the news that have people hiding in their houses and scared out of their minds and wearing masks to go in public and all of this, and the hospital's empty. So I'm like, let me dig a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
So that's how I got kind of started in the whole thing. When I ended up, to bring you back where you asked me, what I ended up doing in Lansing was I got there for the protest, which was supposed to be in the cars. But I saw that by the time I got there, it was about 2.5 miles from the Capitol when I hit traffic. So I pulled over and found a spot to park on a side street. And I went live from that moment. And I walked all the way down. And I stayed live until my phone died, and the video kind of went viral. But as I was there, I was really interested in kind of what was going on. So that kind of answers how I got there, how that all came about.
So let's back up a little bit. Wow, looks like you might need to drink some water, dude.
I drink one of these every day. It's a time machine. See, it's got hours. Yeah. I can make an hour go away.
I love it. So let's back up a little bit though, because you and I've been following this with, I mean, you and I've been friends for quite a while now, but you know, you started, I mean, you started going to every hospital in the greater Detroit area.
Yeah. Well, not every. What it was is I was chasing a ghost. It's interesting because I went to that hospital and I got to tell you, man, like, anytime you're onto something, the hate comes pouring in. Like, and that was what the hate is, what has led me to every investigation that I've done so far. People are telling me that hospital's not busy, that, you know, so go to this hospital. That you'll see when you get to this. So I would, okay, let me go see. I was looking for the truth. I wasn't going to prove that the hospitals weren't busy at that time. I was still trying to find the busy hospital, the reason that I had to stay in my house, the reason that we couldn't go to work and do the normal things that we do. So I hear, you got to go to DMC in Detroit. And I'm like, okay, so I go to DMC. Guess what?
Nothing.
What I just did is what you heard there. Yeah, there was nothing. It was, you know, and then they say, well, go inside. So I make a video and I walk into the hospital. Walk in, guy with no gloves, no mask, smiles, won't answer any of my questions, but he's definitely not scared to be there. And he's definitely not scared that I don't have a mask on. And so I walk into an emergency room. I had my phone in my pocket for that one. Yep. The lady says it's not busy. I talked to an EMT at a hospital that was the next one. You know, like when I say I'm chasing a ghost, every time somebody would say, go to this hospital, you'll see, you're wrong. And they're cussing me out and telling me how wrong I am. So I go to that hospital. I meet an EMT. This guy would have walked up and shook my hand, Ken. He was so calm. He's like, you know, I said, I'll stay back. He goes, don't worry about that. So I come up and he says, I said, listen, and I might have told a little fib. I said, my wife's at home freaking out.
I remember that.
I said, I don't want to, I just want some information, man. And he says, well, you and me got nothing to worry about. He said, you and I have nothing to worry about at all. If you are already sick or you're elderly, definitely maybe stay back, keep away from, you know, your parents. If they don't need your help, try to keep your distance and stuff. I said, okay, that makes sense. He goes, but I said, well, how about the hospital? He goes, well, it's not busy at all. He goes, they got whole floors shut off for COVID. There might be a couple of patients up there, but we're really not moving anybody. And so at this point, now I'm starting to get a little bit angry, you know, now I'm starting to feel, like this is all a lie.
Yeah.
So now I start investigating testing centers they've built. And to me, at this point, if you want my theory on it, it was created to make the fear bigger. I mean, they got these huge testing centers. I hope that's what they're for. They're under 12-foot fences with tents everywhere and abandoned buildings fenced inside and cordoned off in these things. But when you when you go there, there's absolutely nothing going on.
Eric Cornelius.
He's always got something good to say, doesn't he?
I know. He's such a smart aleck. So, you know, I mean, look, everybody knows deep down inside, I think everybody realizes that it is the job of the media to sensationalize and blow things out of proportion. But I think there are people are literally afraid. Like, look, here Ernest says his cousin's a nurse at a local hospital and she's bored at work. Like,
oh, I've dug into some of that, and now we have actual press releases coming out of Beaumont Wayne that they closed. They're so slow that they can't even stay open. DMC, where everybody told me to go, laid off 460 plus nurses and staff members just last Tuesday. And yet it's overrun, right? And the peak is, and what I found too, and I did a video about this, the reason I went to the last hospital that I did was because people kept saying that it was going to peak. That's why. So at first we see on the news, it's overrun, it's overrun, it's overrun, it's overrun. I love that question. I'll get to it in a second. But it's overrun, but it's not. So then everybody changes the story from it's overrun to it's gonna be overrun. Give it another week, and all of a sudden you're gonna see we're right. It's gonna be overrun, and then I give it another week. Right, I'm into the third week now, and next week is gonna be the week. Right, every week.
Yep.
And it's still not overrun. So now I go back and make a video because I wasn't going to just beat the hospital thing to death. I had already felt that I had proven that part of it.
Yeah.
But I went back one more time to say, look, they said it was going to peak. Where is this? Where is this thing at? And then I found I kept getting requests to go to Coba Hall and to go to Suburban Showcase, where they have these huge field hospitals, something like $20 million invested in building these things. I don't know the exact numbers, but something crazy in building these things, and they sit empty.
Let me ask you this though, dude, because I've watched your video more than once, the main one. And here's the thing, man. There's a lot, I mean a lot of haters on there, man. People saying you're gonna get corona and die. You won't be smiling then, you dumbass. And I mean, people are saying some nasty things, man. And
I would show you my DM once. But
what do you say to those people, man?
Thank you for your support. American flag emoji, pretty much. And the reason I do that is because I'm protecting your rights. Hate me, but I'm protecting your rights. And when you share my videos, all you're doing is being a free publicist for me. Right. So go for it. Hate me, comment on there. You make it more relevant the more comments you push, you know? And so keep doing it. And I'll keep sending you the emojis. The only ones that I do call out, Ken, are the fake ones. And I believe they're politically driven fake accounts that come on and just troll. And I will call those out. I'll make like a screen recording on my phone, and I'll go through their profile and draw stuff on the screen. Like, why is this the same picture 36 times for your profile picture has changed, and all you did was edit the same picture? You know what I mean? Right. So I will call those out. But the people, when some nurse comes on and says, you ought to be killed because, you know, I hope you get the coronavirus. One girl was DMing my wife, threatening to come here and kill her.
What?
And well, here's the thing, Ken. If you're threatening to kill me, I know you're not going to do it, right? If you're going to kill me, you probably won't tell me about it first. It'd be a lot easier.
Stick up behind you while you're live streaming with me.
Right. It's a lot easier to kill me if you don't warn me. So the death threats don't concern me too much.
I can't believe that, man. You're getting death threats? That is unbelievable. What is wrong with people?
I don't know. It's panic.
Wow, that's unbelievable. So you know, here's the thing. There's a lot of people across not just the US, but across the globe that are going out to these hospitals, going out to these what do they call them, hotbeds of coronavirus patients lined up and waiting and Brian Hess said he looks afraid sitting outside doing this interview.
Right. I thought about doing it from the grocery store. I just didn't know where I'd set my computer up.
Of course you did. So look, I think, I mean, dude, and I told you, I said, look, man, I'm kind of right in the middle here. I don't know what to, I mean, I know that I don't trust the government. I don't. And I don't care what anybody says. I don't trust what they have to say. What somebody said something about POTUS a minute ago, a question about POTUS. What do you think about that, dude?
Do I think he knows? I think absolutely. The other day, I don't know if you guys, whoever asked the question follows Trump on Twitter. Twitter's a great information source, by the way. I'm not a big fan of social media on Twitter. Like, I don't make a lot of friends there. I've made a few, but I have seen that there's a good information source. But the other day, he posted liberate Michigan, liberate Minnesota, liberate Virginia.
Yep.
Right on his Twitter. So he knows it's going on. And I think if he were sitting, and I hate, sorry, Don, but I'm going to say it. If he were sitting here with me, and I can't say this for a fact, and I asked him, should I keep doing what I'm doing? I think he would say yes.
Yeah.
But I think that he's rope-a-doping some people along, and eventually it's going to come out in the wash how this whole thing played out. I mean, obviously we have a huge election coming up. Obviously, there's a lot of you could create a lot of things. I did a video yesterday, a live stream yesterday about this. How I think you watched part of it, but how you can discredit somebody. Like, if somebody wanted to discredit me, they could come put a Nazi flag in my front yard while I'm sleeping, and then go live in the morning and take a video of it and say, see what he has. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of that going on. I really do think that there's a lot of, hey, let's take, I think it was Rahm Emanuel who said so eloquently, never let a crisis go to waste, or I might be paraphrasing, but there's definitely some of that that's going on. As far as politically, my political beliefs don't really play into why I'm doing this, though.
Right. They don't, and I don't, for you, just so everybody knows, I know, Jason, you and I have been friends how long? 3 or 4, 5 years? Yeah, for a while. And I know you pretty well. We've had a lot of conversations. This dude is not doing this for political. He's not doing it for religious. He's not doing it for attention reasons. It's literally, I can see it, dude. I know your heart. You're doing this to wake people up.
Yeah, the message needs to get out. And that's what I'm saying. Okay, let me put this message out here. Whether you like Trump or you don't like Trump, listen to me. Okay, I'm not talking about politics. I'm talking about the life you've lived in America and the rest of the world. You guys got to understand, and I'll get to this more in a second, but America is like in jeopardy. Your childhood, growing up, playing baseball in the front yard and yelling car and playing basketball and getting out of the street when the car, all of that freedom that you've had in this country growing up your entire life is in jeopardy. You've got to understand, this isn't political. This is about allowing, because even if, okay, so I don't know whether this is the time or this isn't the time, but let's say Whitmer, for example, here in Michigan, or any of the governors that you're all dealing with around the country, let's say that right now today, they say, all right, it's open, it's cool, everything's good. What do you think they're going to remember about this, though?
Right.
It's going to be super easy to control us if you can make us scared of an invisible enemy.
Right.
For the rest of forever, unless the citizens stand up and make it known that America is going to be America, whether they like it or they don't. And it doesn't have.
I'd made this. I talked to somebody yesterday, and they said, but you can't argue with the fact that people are dying. And I know somebody personally that died, and I'm like, I get that. And I am in no way am I saying that, hey, it's not true. I believe people are dying, but people die from influenza and many, many, many other things every single year too. And now all of a sudden, all of the other numbers of other diseases and illnesses have dropped significantly because so many people are dying of corona instead of heart attacks or instead of, right?
Corona is the actual cure for every other disease on the planet. So it's really a blessing, right? Nobody's having heart attacks anymore. Nobody's had, nobody's died of obesity or heart disease or alcoholism or any of the things that kill, because everybody's dying of coronavirus, right? So I've done a little digging into that, actually, and it makes sense. It's a perfect system. So the hospitals get paid when a person dies of corona or when a person is diagnosed or when a ventilator is put on, right? And the money's around $13,000 for a diagnosis and around I think $39,000 if they're put on a vent, right?
Yeah.
So if a hospital's got 2 boxes to check, right? And one box says you're going to make how much money you make off a heart attack. Another box says you're going to make all the money you make off treatment plus $39,000. Which box do they check? I mean, we know the medical industry's been corrupt for 25, 35, 40 years in America anyway, right? It's the most corrupt industry there is. They're drug dealers. But regardless of that, they're checking the box that says 139 instead of 100. If it's 100,000 for a heart attack and 139 for corona, let's check 139. Well, that's cool, right? I mean, it's not cool. Is it? No, I don't mean it's cool. That's where people are saying, follow the money, follow the money. But I was noticing that on the national media, they keep saying that, follow the money, follow the money, follow the money, right? Anytime they get into anything other than the coronavirus is Trump's fault, they say, follow the money, right? So you follow the money, you end up at the hospital. What happens when you follow the power? Because each time the hospital starts marking down and taking the 139 or checking the corona box, the powerful people that get to keep us under their thumb and locked in our houses longer get more power because more people get afraid, the numbers get bigger. Oh my gosh, we got to flatten the curve, blah, blah, blah. And they go on and on and on with that power struggle because they have money.
Yep.
And Ken, you know this. In fact, I talked to you and I know that you've been through this. If you and I, people like us, were to lose everything we have tomorrow, right? Let's say I lost my business, lost my home, lost everything I own. I could have it back in a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
So could Brian Hess. So could you. So if Governor Whitmer, however much money she has, she loses everything tomorrow, she can get that money back too. Money is, once you know how to get a certain level of it, you can get it again and again and again, and it's money's easy. But power is what they're drunk on. And making a move to try and become, whether it's her making a move to try and become vice president, I think that's going to be Como is going to be their vice presidential candidate, or they'll just kick Joe out altogether. Como's enemy number 1 in my mind. But
we just lost half of New York.
That's all right. They'll stay to threaten my life. But it's all good. Hey, and by the way, listen, I'm going to put a plug in here while I'm thinking about this, because I'm going to put 2 plugs in. I've been saying this throughout this. I don't ask, and Ken, you can verify this. When I'm live, I don't ask people to share my videos. I just don't. I never have, but this I ask you to share. And the reason is because I think the message is more important than popularity. Share it and cross my name out if that's possible. But please share this, get the message out. We got to wake people up. Secondly, on the 30th here in Michigan, there is a vote to extend the emergency state.
There's a vote?
There's a vote at the Senate on the 30th in Michigan to extend it. But it's a Republican-held Senate. There's people in the Senate that we've been able to be in touch with, but this event is super important. If we show up on the yard and we have 200, 300, 1 million strong standing there going, no, Michigan, it's time to get back to work, they cannot possibly, a Republican-held Senate cannot possibly walk inside and vote, no, let's stay closed longer. So please. What's that?
This blows me away. Okay, first, I want to, and yes, I agree, everybody should be sharing this out. Don't share it to just your friends, share it globally, because this this is some important stuff. And I want to say, and thank you to everybody who's already shared. Jason Alt, thank you. Dan Keller, I know, shared it. Brian Hess has shared it. Thank you to everybody who shared this. And listen, I want to say that, first off, you have, I'm probably going to get death threats for this too, but your governor is insane. I mean, like, okay, if I have a little paddle boat with oars, I can go out and row my damn boat, but I can't go out on a boat that has a motor and use the motor.
Right.
That is absolutely the most unbelievable. Like, where's the logic in that, dude?
There's no logic to any of it. You can't paint. You're locked in your house, but you can't paint it, or you can't buy landscape supplies, even if you have them delivered. So you can. She allowed small stores to sell seeds and stuff, but the problem is they're out. So if you want to grow a garden this year, you're screwed. If you want to have a landscaping project while you're stuck in your house, so you don't have domestic violence rises, then you can't do that. And that's a true issue. They've had a huge spike in domestic violence. I don't have it at my house, but I know that there's been a spike in that. And it's because people can't get away from each other, and they're just, it's like she's put a ban on fun. It's not a ban on, look, the grocery store's open. I can go cough all over you at the produce section at Kroger if I want to, but I can't go ride my boat by myself in the middle of the lake. I can't travel with my family to my other home up north. I'm not supposed to. I will, and nobody's going to stop me. But anyway, I'm not supposed to travel from here to my other house up north with my family in one car to my place where we live anyway. It doesn't make sense. None of it's logical. But again, the event is on the 30th on the lawn at the Capitol. If you want more information, there's an event on Facebook. Get in touch with me. I'd be happy to get you move you in the right direction. We also have some positions available on the organization team. I mean, we do have a good team, a really good team. Really solid people. Everybody has a job to do. This has kind of become mine for some reason, but everybody has, we have really great people working on the team, and we just joined forces with another big team. So now we've got two really great organizational teams working on one great event. And so make sure that if you're in Michigan, you're there. And if you are high risk and you can't be there, your job is to be home sharing this thing live. And then I want to make an announcement right now, if you don't mind, Ken, about that event.
Yeah, dude, definitely.
So are you guys ready to hear how I can stick it to the media? We can stick it to the media together and make sure they don't lie about us in this event.
Yes.
Are you ready? Everybody needs to be ready for this, because this is going to be huge. And when you're at the event, I need you to act on this. I need everyone at the event that has the capability to go live. From the time you get out of your car and you start walking toward the Capitol till the time you leave or your battery dies, be live on Facebook. Why? Because the media last Wednesday, we had an event and 100,000 people showed up and it was awesome. But the media took a few photos, cropped them in, and made them look like this was a violent event. They took one person that could have been a plant from the left, or one person that had a flag that might have been offensive to some, and they took that picture, right? They said that we blocked hospitals off. We actually have a statement from the hospital, the person that runs the hospital, whatever that's called, and he said, no, it was never blocked off. But this time, they can't tell us that. We're going to be able to show them on camera. We're going to be able to tell them, no, we are the media, not you. You've been lying to us for too long, and we want control of our state and our country back.
Well, and look, man, in this video right here that, like I said, about 10 minutes before we started this live stream, your video had 903,000 views. In that video, dude, you were walking up to, and if you guys haven't seen that video, go watch it and share it, but because it's freaking amazing. And you were literally walking up to the cameras, the media people standing there, A, with masks hanging down around underneath their chin, B, like nobody. There was nobody that they were interviewing. Nobody.
I'll talk about that. It was funny. There were a few moments like this. One comes to mind in particular, but they weren't able to get anybody except for, I think, a couple people were interviewed, the organizer and then somebody who wanted to yell and scream at a camera. But for the most part, they weren't able to get anybody even around them. Like, it was like there was a bubble around them that you couldn't penetrate. But I was walking up to him and I was asking, what's the spin today? What are you guys going to say? What are you going to tell the public? Because, my camera was on, not because I wanted attention. My camera was on to show what this event was. And right. I want to tell you, if you haven't watched it, you don't have to watch the whole 2 hours and a half. Watch 15 minutes of it. Move into the middle, whatever. Pick a spot, watch a few minutes of it. You'll see this was a celebration of freedom. This was families, kids made their little homemade signs, holding them up, loving that I would put the camera on them and let them read their sign to me. There was business owners out there with their big trucks and their loud horns, and there was regular people, teenagers. I saw several cars full of teenagers. That was pretty awesome to see young people getting involved in civics. That's pretty cool, like real civics, not what they teach you in school. That was awesome. I mean, there was some of everybody at this place. But one thing that struck me is there was smiles. There wasn't frowns and anger and hate. Nobody was throwing bottles at cops or anything like you see at a lot of other events.
Dude, you were talking to the cops.
Yeah, I talked to the state police several times. They were happy to be there. I made a call to the state police. They were happy we're doing it again on the 30th.
Yeah, dude, I'm pasting the link to that video right now. I'm putting that link so everybody has an opportunity to go check it out. I'm going to actually pin it to my personal Facebook page. But is that on YouTube as well?
Yes, it is. Okay. There's a lot of videos on YouTube. If you didn't see that, you can go to my wall and see any of it, but it's easy to get them on YouTube also if you want to share them in other places. But there's the videos from the hospitals, the videos from the testing center. There's the videos from the field hospitals, a lot of different stuff. And I know Christy. Hi, Christy. Yeah, the protest was totally peaceful. There was not a moment where there was any tension. In fact, I'll tell you a story. And again, I'm going to be a little bit political here. I think you guys have a pretty good clue what I think politically. But here's what the only guy, as my phone was dying at the end of the first video, I'm walking back toward the car to stick it on the charger. And there's one guy, and I don't typically do this, but I'm going to show you what he did just so you can see. But he's got that typical defiant posture, and he's doing this with his fingers like that. And guess what he's yelling?
I can't even imagine.
F Trump, running down the street. The only guy there with an attitude problem, if that tells you anything. Was
and again, this isn't and look, this interview, and we already talked about this has nothing to do with politics, y'all. This isn't that Jason's a Trump fan or I'm a Trump fan or I'm an anti-Trump, or this is about America. And to blame this all, like, it's like the opportunity to blame one single person for this is insane.
No matter who you are or what you believe. The reason I bring that up is more not to be political so much, but to be like, look, man, that guy needs this more than anybody watching it right now. That guy needs to see that he is choosing a side totally based on something that has nothing to do with the mission that we were on. We were on a mission to make sure he can still run down the street and flip everybody off.
That's right.
That's the mission, not a mission to get Trump elected or not elected. The mission was to make sure that this guy can still be a jerk anytime he wants to be a jerk. You know what I mean?
My brother just said, people like you, Jason, is why I gave up 10 years of my life defending this great nation.
Oh, geez, don't even put me in that category. The reason I'm doing this is because people did that. My grandfathers, the people that died before us, fought so hard for this freedom. It cannot go for nothing.
I agree. What about the people that are saying, look, you going out and protesting and doing this, all 100,000 of you that are going out and protesting you're a bunch of idiots that are going to infect everybody else with coronavirus. What's wrong with you?
Hold on, let me
Why
take a really
would you
deep
do
breath
that?
real quick.
You're insensitive.
Let me take a really deep breath. Man, my lungs fill right up. Anyway, listen, I've been doing this. I'll give you guys I'll give you guys a story. I've been doing this for 2 months. Right? A month and a half. I don't know when exactly, but I've been doing this since the beginning of the whole media blitz, right? I've been in grocery stores. I've been in hospitals. I don't wear gloves. I don't wear a mask. I have clients that I can't name because they have public images that have had training sessions with me with 10 or 12 people, and we have to park in the back and hide our cars and make sure that it's okay. And we have these training sessions, and I can tell you we've been doing that on a regular basis. And guess what? None of us, not me, not my family, not them, not their family, none of us have been sick. Right. So where people are catching this, I don't know. Maybe you got to look at who's getting tested and see if there's something linked there. I don't know that answer. I'm not stating a fact. I'm saying, and this is something I want people to get from this too. Could
somebody translate that for me, please? I have no idea what that says. It looks really important, though.
It might be in the comments. We can probably translate it from Facebook. Yeah. But the thing that I want to kind of touch on is that you got to think critically. You got to look at, like, when we get to the hospital, everybody says follow the money, right? Why? Why the money? What is the money being used for? Think that extra step through. Why am I not sick? Right? Because that was part of the experiment, Ken. Like, am I going to get sick? I'm pretty healthy. I know I don't look as healthy as I am, but I am pretty healthy. My cardio's good. Look, I'm not scared to get it. But I'm kind of thinking, hey, if I could get it, I could show everybody that it's okay. In the beginning, that's what I'm thinking, that you're not going to die from it, just like that EMT told me.
Right.
You know, but I haven't, that I know of. Now, here's another thing about the virus, and I don't really care about the virus that much, other than to wake people up to the fact that something else is going on. That's the reason I even mention the virus. But my wife and I both had the symptoms to this in late December. And I hear that from more and more people every time I bring that up. If you had the symptoms to this in late December, please put it in the comments too. We want to see that, because I believe when the antibody tests come out and people are able to take those tests in mass numbers, you'll see that millions have already had this. So what that'll mean is that the death rate will shrink to almost nothing when you look at it. Because right now, after all of, they started out saying this was going to be 2 million deaths. They told us, hide in your house, get ready for a terrible time. It's going to be 2 million deaths. Then they said 1 million. Then they said 800,000, 500,000, 200,000. Now they're talking about like 60,000, and I think less than that.
Yep.
Right. So that's the flu numbers, people. Seriously, that is a flu season. I know you don't know that because you don't pay attention during the flu season. You don't sit and watch the numbers daily, and they don't have a press conference every day with the president, and worldwide we don't have a lockdown around the world.
There's Glenn Morshower, my buddy Glenn. You can tell him now what you told me. Glenn, you got a big fan sitting here.
Yeah, man. I saw Ken was working with you, and I thought, man, that's awesome. And I wanted to tell him, but I'm not the kind of guy that gets all starstruck or anything. But I did tell Ken when we were off screen that was really awesome. I really like your work. So for what that's worth.
That's awesome.
But
hearing that, so that's awesome. So look, there's a lot of people, and I'm gonna say this. I need to interject this, dude. A friend of mine had his entire family of 5 all had really severe, like the symptoms that they're talking about on extreme levels One of his kids had to be hospitalized for a couple of days, given breathing treatments and a ventilator and all of that. So, but it started in late November. Then somebody else in the family got it in January, or no, I mean mid-December. Then his other family members were getting it into January, and everybody was ended up okay. Here's Rachel says, my youngest son was very sick in February, passed out on me, couldn't breathe, everything was going black. He had a fever, was throwing up, coughing, couldn't taste anything. He got tested and it came back as the flu B.
So that's the story. So I have a cousin, same story. She was actually pregnant at the time, I think, if I remember right. But I know in like December or something, she had a really, really bad breathing problem, and went to the doctor and everything, but it wasn't diagnosed. It was a mystery. And I heard that from one of the planning committee for the event on the 30th, that in January, his family had the same type of thing, and it was a mystery at the doctor. Like, we can't figure out what this is. It's probably the flu or some strain we don't know about, but we don't know. So a lot of people are hearing that, and I really say that just because what it does is it shows that the death rate isn't even what the numbers say. Even if you do believe the numbers you're seeing on the news and on the TV, and you really believe that many people have died. But again, I have a niece also that was diagnosed with COVID-19 and never had a test. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, she probably had it. I'm not disputing that. But what I'm saying is she was never tested. So if you come in, I mean, if you fall off a ladder, that's one of the symptoms of COVID-19. Falling off a ladder is a symptom of COVID-19, isn't it?
Oh, well, I mean, if you're coughing really hard and you're up on a ladder and you lose your balance as a result and you fall to your death, it's COVID-19 that killed you, not the fact that you lost your balance. Right.
I mean, if you cough your way out in the middle of the street and get hit by a car, it's COVID-19 for sure.
Right. And I mean, we're not, look, again, I don't want to be insensitive in any way to people. And I know you don't either, man. Like, no,
let me touch on that, because everybody thinks that. Like, I know what it's like to lose a loved one. I've been alive long enough to have that happen, and it's never a pleasure, and it's awful, and it's terrible, and death is sad. I get it, like 100%. Fortunately, I've been blessed, and I don't know anybody who's been affected like that from COVID-19. I'm not saying that I discount, but I almost feel like this: don't let your loved one die for no reason then, because there's more to this than a virus going around. Where did it come from? That question we're going to have to ask once we're free again. Yeah. That's a question that's going to have to be figured out. And I, for one, won't rest until I know it's figured out and we got the real answer on that. Because, go ahead.
Well, I want to, because there are people, most people are just going, you know what? I've been ordered to stay home, not go to work. I'm not allowed to open my business. I just have to figure it out, and they're not saying anything about, they're not rocking the boat, so to speak, right? They're just like, yep, I've been ordered to stay home, and CNN and Fox News and everybody's saying that there are just all kinds of people dying from this, so it has to be true. And they're not questioning it like you have. You and I want to back up. Look, Glenn Morshower said you need to star in a movie called Dirty Dancing in Lansing.
Hey, set it up.
Yeah. So Glenn, I told Jason about when I informed you that Lansing is the capital of Michigan. We got a good laugh out of that. But anyway, so Brian said, Glenn, did you know that Lansing is so but I think that there's a lot of people who are, and Sherry just said it, folks are legitimately scared. It's true, man. It's absolutely true that people are scared. Look, if the government was, or the media was saying, oh my God, we've been attacked. There are bombs going off in Atlanta. There are bombs going off in Omaha. There are bombs being dropped on Montana. And you're like just sitting there watching this and you don't hear the bombs. You don't see the bombs, but the bombs are going off. You're going to be freaked out, man. It's just the way that the media works.
Well, that's the problem. And I feel like the people that are scared, the people that, and I'm talking about the people that I feel have no reason to be scared. I'm not talking about, I think that there's services we can create and offer for the elderly and for the high risk that have to be made. And I think that's something that me and some people will work on. But the people that are average people that don't have health problems, that don't have a reason to be scared, I feel like you're looking at life through this glass, right? And the point of everything that I'm doing, the videos, the work, the going to the protest, the helping organize a protest, the reason I'm doing what I'm doing, and I think this is the reason that a lot of us are doing what we're doing, is to break the glass, to have you see life through the actual lens that it's happening in. Because when you think, if you really think that CNN is telling you the truth, let me ask you a question. Did you think they were telling you the truth when they said Hillary was going to win in a landslide? And I don't care whether you think that should have happened or shouldn't, or who should have won, but ask yourself this question. Did they lie to me? Because if they lied to you, why do you continue to take their advice and listen to them like they are telling you the truth? It happens day in, day out with people all over the world. They're listening to this media that lies every single day. I just went to a protest last Wednesday, and I leave a beautiful, peaceful celebration of freedom, and I look on the news the next day, Wood TV, Grand Rapids, Wood TV, Grand Rapids, Wood TV, Grand Rapids, put up a picture from 2012. I can post it in the comments of a police fight against a protester. It was probably like a Michigan State game that got out of control or something, but it was a 2012 picture that they tried to say was a mistake when we noticed it. They're like, oh, we're sorry about that. Are you going to accept that? And even worse than accepting it, because I think it should be a crime. Yeah. Even worse than accepting it, are you going to believe them then in 2 more hours when they come out with another story?
Yep. Dude, you're exactly right, man. That's why I say over and over and over and over, I don't watch the news. And people are like, well, how do you stay up to date with current events then? I go, I don't. Yeah, I see it on Facebook. Y'all share enough crap on my Facebook feed. I see it. I get DMs all the time. I've gotten 3 or 4 or 5 direct messages just since you and I have been on here. Like, I get them all the time. I know. I don't have to watch CNN or Fox or CBS or NBC because I know they're freaking fabricating stuff.
Can we try an experiment right now? Maybe this will help. Ken, you met me 4 years ago.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Ish. Let's say that every time I talk to you, I made the story different than what it really was, or I sensationalized it, or I flat out lied to you. Every time I talk to you, how many times would you talk to me?
Well, I wouldn't, dude. But here, here's the experiment. Let's tell everybody where we really met. We were both in a biker gang together.
Liar.
You said liar. But that's the thing, is somebody can just say anything on the news and bam, oh, it's on the news. It's got to be true.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They lie to you at 4 o'clock. And then at 6 o'clock, they come back on and you catch them in the lie at 4. And at 6, you're right back into their story again. Why? If I lied to you once, okay, maybe you listen to me again. But if I lie to you twice, you're not going to just keep coming back to me for information. If I was found out to be lying about all the stuff I've been telling people would stop believing me. Yeah. There wouldn't be people on this live feed right now because what would the point be? Right. You know what I'm saying?
It's
but
true.
I don't. That's the thing. We need to take this. We have the capability to do something no other generations have had the capability to do. We can report the news to each other.
Amen.
And that until they decide to shut the internet off, that is the way that we can find out what's really going on. That's the way we can avoid being being fearful when we shouldn't be. This is the reason. If I go to this event on the 30th and I post everything, she's going to take. Well, I actually was in a biker gang in a past life. But that's why he said that.
I know. That's why I had to say it, dude.
But that was before Jesus. But anyway, the whole thing for me is that I can't understand it. So why don't you pull your phone out of your pocket when something's going on and turn it on and record, just in case, even if you don't ever need to post it or use it. If you don't want to post something, if you're afraid of the death threats, send it to me in the DM. I'll post it for you. You know what I mean? Like, I'll stand up and post it for you.
Is that true?
No, I haven't heard that. He's not in Michigan. I know Patrick. He's a relative.
So I'm reading. I have your video with now up to 905,000 views in the background, and some dear friends of mine. I'm not going to mention their names. People I absolutely love that are saying things like, "Next up, Michigan with the most deaths from COVID-19." Here's another one. Somebody that's a friend of mine saying these are the people who will spread more viruses. There's nothing cool about this. You know, I like those same people. There's your amazing wife. Happy belated birthday, by the way, Angela. We get told to die daily. That's crazy, man.
They come on and threaten her. You know,
wow.
I think it's because she defends me and I don't.
Look what Glenn said.
Exactly.
He was from Flint. That's awesome.
But the thing that I'm trying to convey to everybody is this: whether you believe one thing politically or another thing politically, or you might hate everything I stand for, right? And that's your right. And I have the right to hate everything you stand for and tell you. But what matters the most is that right now, even if you don't like me and I don't like you, it's not about you and me. It's about this freedom that we've enjoyed since day one in America. And I don't want to see that freedom gone for my kids. I don't want your kids to see that freedom gone. I don't want to know what it's like to live in China. I don't want to know what it's like to live in Cuba. I don't want to. I want you to know, you and your children and their children, to know what it's like to live in the greatest country ever made. And whether you're one side of the spectrum or the other side of the spectrum, be there on the 30th if you feel the same way, because we need to stand up and let them know that they work for us. And that's the bottom line. Taxation without representation is a problem. They work for us. We don't work for them. We don't do what they say when what they say breaks the Constitution that we were given rights in. And we need to understand that, stand up for it. And anybody who doesn't believe that this isn't just a virus, or anybody who thinks this is just a sickness going around, you got to look around. You got to just look around. That's it.
What's this say? Jeffrey says, because it's believable, because of how many people are getting sick. I'm involved with the TV station. Some of my crew was up in Flint. A lot of stuff we put out is for safety, but those numbers aren't updated like they should. We're trying to sell our stories in our own way. I mean, that's the thing, man. It does. And I'm not sure what the context of that comment was, Jeffrey, but you know, look, I have a buddy that was the #1 TV ad salesperson in the whole state of Louisiana for many years. He knows what the media is doing. He knows. And I've had conversation with him about it. Hey, I will say the wind is working up in Michigan today.
Yeah, I was trying to cover the microphone. I'm using the camera mic. So I want to talk about that safety for a second, right? Because everybody keeps using that. It's becoming a buzzword. Be safe. It's about safety. Listen, safety does not come before freedom, because without freedom, you will not have safety.
Amen.
You have to have freedom first, because not being free is dangerous, because that means somebody else is in charge of what happens to you.
Yeah.
So Safety does not come before freedom. You have to understand that. That's what our forefathers knew when they went and fought and died to keep us free, because they know because they came back in the day, they came from countries where they didn't have freedom. And so they know that without that freedom, there is no safety. So when you tell me to be safe, I'm going to tell you this. I'll be safe once we're free. Until we're free, I'll risk everything for it.
I love that, dude. Love it. So do you feel in any way that you are endangering the lives of others by going out and protesting?
No, I don't. I do not believe that. I believe if I saw a person that was 75 years old at the protest, I'd stay 6 feet away from them. You know what I mean? But yeah. I also believe that if people die, I believe this is war. In my heart of hearts, from everything I've learned and seen, I believe this is war. And I believe that if people do die, then they died honorably if they're at these protests. But I also think that personally, I've had this. And so yeah, it would make a nice shirt. But I believe I've had this, and I don't believe I'm risking people. But again, in a war, people die, and I'm not taking that lightly. I really am not, because people die in war. That's horrible, but it's true. And if we're going to win the war and keep our freedom, then there's got to be some risk involved.
My 14-year-old daughter from my previous marriage is terrified to come and see me. And I have not seen her since this whole thing started. And I was talking to her. I said, honey, I need you to come and visit. And she literally was almost crying and said, Daddy, I'm scared. I don't want to until this thing is passed. And I said, stop listening to what the news is saying. You haven't been anywhere. We haven't been anywhere. We're good. I'll come and get you. You can hang out for a weekend. And she's scared. And you know, it crushes me that I can't even see. I'm, and it's not a legal thing stopping her. It's fear, this unbelievable paralyzing fear. And, right. And, you know, here's what Glenn says. The media has always held the policy that if it bleeds, it leads. Amen. It's true. It's true. And so look, man, I you know, there's a lot going on that's, you know, she said to me, she said, well, my friend had her stepdad or somebody who was only 30 years old died of the coronavirus. It is real. She said that to me. And I didn't know what to say to her, except for, are you sure? Are you sure that's what was wrong? Because that doesn't make sense.
And that's the thing. Like, I guess my kids have heard me from the beginning on this, but that's the problem, is we don't know who died from coronavirus and who didn't. We can't get any good data. And as I said, you know, and that sucks. I don't even know what to say in that situation other than this. My niece is 17 and she laid in bed for a week and she's fine. And she'll tell you that she's been sharing the posts from the protests and stuff. Yeah. So, you know what I mean? So
she had it.
Yeah. And that's encouraging. If that's encouraging, I hope it is. But at the same time, you know, that's what sucks about this. They're taking us and forcing us to be scared, not be able to see our relatives, not be able to go to church on Easter, not be able to go to church on any regular Sunday. They're talking about trying to cancel Independence Day. That ain't happening. If they try to cancel Independence Day, come to my house and I'll have a fireworks display ready for you, because it's Independence Day. You get that? But you know,
come on, somebody give this man. I'm watching the live stream over here on my phone. There's no hearts, no laughter. Like, everybody needs to lighten up, man. Come on. Let's get back to life. And I like, look, man, I said this before. I said, you know, I would almost rather get coronavirus, get through it, get over it, or die, one of the two, than to live like this, like trapped. with all of my, I'm watching friends of mine with businesses shut down that are literally going freaking bankrupt. There's a big restaurant chain here in Columbus that's been around forever. They had to file bankruptcy. You know, like this is real.
That's happening all over the place. It's happening here too. Restaurants are dying. I mean, can you imagine having a restaurant or a hair salon or something that can't operate at all? You know, some of my clients, most of my clients are service-based contractors, so they can still do some of the install side or construction side of things, but they can't sell. So that's going to run out at some point. Getting in front of customers can't happen. I mean, there is remote selling and stuff, but that the numbers are so much lower with that when you're trying to learn on the fly and do things. But the point is, these businesses are just as important to life, because what happens if you take small business out of America? And a lot of people don't see this because they just work somewhere, and there's nothing wrong with that. But as somebody who's owned businesses and works with business owners every single day, here's the thing. Those businesses fuel the American economy. And without them, people are going to be homeless. Homelessness has a higher death rate, I bet, than coronavirus does. People are going to lose their homes, lose their jobs. There's going to be suicides. There's going to be fathers who can't provide for their children here real soon, right? Some people already are in the scenario where they're not getting their unemployment, or they're not getting this, or they're not getting that. And it's like, these people are suffering at the hands of people who decided that they're smarter than we are, and we can't leave our houses until the smart people take care of it. And that is not right. That is wrong. That is not American. And I wanted to touch on something else too. The world there, I'm getting DMs, hundreds of them a day, from Germany, where they're completely locked down, from other countries waiting for America to make a move, because America's always been the one that led the freedom fight. And so this is a worldwide cause. We don't want world government. We want world peace, right?
Right.
But this is a worldwide cause, and many businesses are shutting down. Many people are suffering, and this has to come to an end like yesterday morning.
They got, I mean, I don't look. I've had this, and I could sit here and pontificate all day, and it would just be me sharing my personal opinion, and that's not what this is about. This is about, it's not just America, man. You know what's interesting to me is I got curious, and I went out looking on the internet, what countries are not in lockdown, what countries did not go into. And do you know that Switzerland is not, they've not one time, and they've had a very, very low number of deaths. Japan is not in lockdown, and they've had a very, very low number. Like, so what is that's, and when you see that, like, you go, what is really going on here? Why is it that the United States has such a huge surge of deaths? Are we really that unhealthy to begin with? Or are they fudging the numbers compared to Switzerland and Japan?
So that's a great question. And I've had, and again, I'm no expert, but I do have some knowledge, and I can make some educated theories on this stuff. I've had a lot of people from Germany, a lot of people from Croatia, a ton of people from Turkey. They tell me that the numbers, Italy too, and Spain, the numbers are lied about there too. The numbers, there is, from what I've heard, and again, it's hearsay, so, but take it for what it is. From what I've heard, the numbers are, one country, somebody said the numbers were like 300, and they had 20 million people locked in their house, 300 deaths.
Yeah.
So it is like that around the world, and that raises a lot of questions. Another thing, and I'm not going to get political, so I'm going to tell you to do your own research on this. There are certain states that have 4 times higher death rates, and there's one thing that they have in common. So I'll leave that at that, and I'll let you do your research yourself, because I feel like when you do the research yourself and you find what I'm talking about, it'll wake some people up. There are certain states, and they have one thing in common, that have a 4-time higher death rate on average, all of the states, and they have one thing in common.
I think, again, I wanted to talk about some of the stuff, and maybe you can recall from memory some of the things that your governor, she's endeared by many, or is it revered? Anyway,
she's really made a name for herself.
She's yeah. So she had some pretty strict. Do you know some of the things, the strict I'm talking about? I think this, and Trump said it. I think Trump saw your video, dude, because he was talking about it. And he said something about the something about the strictest in the country or something like.
Yeah, it's crazy, and it's strict, and it's just odd. It's like a ban on fun, like I said earlier. You can buy seeds only if the store is less than a certain amount of square footage, and those stores are small businesses. They're done. They don't have any more to sell you. The big stores like Home Depot, Walmart, box stores, they have to section off anything that's not considered essential. So you can buy food, but you can't buy a car seat, for example. And I've heard that some stores aren't adhering to that. So before you come and crucify me on the comments, I know that you can, but you're not supposed to. You're not supposed to travel. I have another home up north. I'm not supposed to get in my car and travel there with my family. I pay taxes there. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like that's free for me. I'm paying taxes. I can't use it.
You're not allowed to have you're not allowed to plant.
You can plant, but you can't get the seeds because the small places you're allowed to buy them from are out, and Home Depot garden centers must be closed, and Lowe's and the big box stores can't have that section open. So it's a roundabout way of creating that problem.
Why? What's the logic behind that?
I don't know. Unhealthy food. I couldn't tell you. There's no logic behind any of it. And
cucumbers, those are so terrifying.
Well, they spread viruses, cucumbers. But that's the mentality. So there's lots of stuff here where it's just, and then we have our protest, and then 10 minutes after the protest ends, she's live threatening to make it worse.
What?
You know what I mean? Oh yeah, you can watch the video that came out that Wednesday. She's like, these protesters might just make me have to extend this longer. Basically, I'm paraphrasing, and on and on and on and on. Constantly complaining that we don't have enough medical equipment, yet hospitals are closing. And you can look that up. Major hospital closed last Tuesday here in Michigan. Look it up for yourself. Don't trust me. I don't want you to trust me. I want you to look it up for yourself so that you know that this is the truth, right? That's the thing. You see these reports, check, do some fact checking. It doesn't take very long to check on this stuff. But a major hospital closed. Another major hospital laid off 460 people, right? Yet we're overrun. Yet we don't have enough ventilators. Yet we don't have, it's all political. Yes, and Doug, you're on to what I'm thinking. If you follow the power far enough, it lands in China, but it takes a detour through a whole bunch of people here too, but it goes around the entire world, and that's why I think that. If it was just America being lied to, we could say it was about the American election, which I think the American election does have a huge weight on what happens around the world, but I mean, it's a big key in creating a one world type of leadership. But I think if you crush people long enough, right? If you take me, I'm not going to stay in my house unless you like lock me there, like physically. But if you take the average family in America and you put them in the house and you say you can't come out, and then you take away their income and you make it hard to buy anything healthy, you make liquor readily available, you make all of this stuff, and you keep them locked like that long enough, and then you come in and you say, hey, listen, we've got to make a change here. This can't stay like this. And people are going, yeah, we got to make a change. We can't stay like this, right? So then they'll agree to anything. So if China comes in and saves us, for example, from ourselves or from this lockdown and says, hey, we have a solution, hey, I don't know how many of you saw movies that go that way, but I don't want to live that way.
Will you take the vaccine when it becomes available?
No. That's a good question.
There's a little song. It goes, "Hail to the no, no, no."
I won't.
No,
and
no way.
More importantly, I don't want my children to take it, because
No.
the people linked to that vaccine, and I'm not saying I'm an anti-vaxxer. I've never even had that question come up in my mind in my life. It's not something, I don't think the earth is flat, but I do think that the people involved in making these vaccines, first of all, have no medical background, and second of all, have made statements about population control a decade ago.
Yeah.
So why am I going to take medicine from somebody who, first of all, doesn't have a medical background, and second of all, wants to control the population, especially my children? Because if you wanted to control the population, you might just make sterility something, because then people would keep taking it. You don't know, you don't take it, you go, oh, I caught sterility, so you can secretly put that out there. So no, I would not take the vaccine.
I mean, there is, there is history that we should look at, and the history is, and I'm not saying that's where we are right now, but historically, Germany created a bunch of panic and fear at one time in their citizens.
Yeah, this is the same playbook. I don't know if it's a different chapter, it's done a little differently, whatever, but it's cognitive dissonance is a disease when you have so many people that have lived so well for so long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we sit and we say things like, oh, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't put us through this, right? They wouldn't create this problem. And I say, well, look around, and what happens is 6 months, a year later, the Germans woke up and said, wait a minute, what are we involved in right now? You know what I mean? Or years.
Yeah.
It was years of developing that scenario. But look at what's been going on in America for years. We've been putting on TV images that say steal from the rich and give to the poor. Robin Hood, right? We've been putting on images of rebel against your parents, never listen to your parents. It's always the if you look at kids shows, the daughter always rebels against the dad and falls in love with a loser, and then the dad ends up accepting what she says he has to accept. There's all kinds of stuff that happens on TV. We've been told that the rich are bad for decades on TV.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The rich guy's always a jerk on TV, right? And my generation was raised by that stuff.
Yep.
Literally, like, we thought the world happened the same way in our lives as it happens on TV. And they make money seem hard to get. They show people that have money as being like a different class of people. So when you look at how they've been prepping us for this, getting us ready, and right now I feel like this could be a getting us ready situation too, because even if they come out tomorrow and they say, all right, we feel like the coronavirus is good enough, you guys can go back to work, and they don't even make us wear wet masks, and they give us everything we're asking for. Brian, it stands for Take Action Today. Everything you're asking for, then we go out and we go back to life, right? 2 years from now, oh, there's a new strain of coronavirus. It's COVID-21, and this one's worse than the other one. And I mean, you can't even go outside. This one's airborne. You need to stay in your house right now. And then they get some video of some people dying on the streets, right? And coming back to life, and there's a zombie apocalypse happening, and everybody's back in their house, back in the lockdown, back under control. And this time it's even a little more nefarious, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So we have to stand up and let them know that they cannot do that to us. That's the whole purpose.
I find, I see these memes on Facebook I see these memes everywhere, going, oh, my Facebook friends are all now, they're all now, specialists, disease specialists, and they're, honorary doctors. And I mean, this isn't about being a disease specialist or an honorary doctor.
Not at all. And those are what I call cognitive dissonance speaking. You
explain cognitive dissonance. Explain that. What is
cognitive dissonance is when so you've been raised to believe that America is this great place, and it is, and you've had this peaceful life, and people are generally nice around you, right? I mean, there's some jerks and whatnot, but when something bad happens or something that you don't see regularly, your mind will fight it. It's called cognitive dissonance. Look it up. Your mind will fight it and say, no, that can't be. They would never do that to us. They would never put us through this. They would never take over that. They would never hurt this, that, or the other thing, right?
Right.
And so we all feel like cognitive dissonance. We all feel like it's not going to happen, right? Like it couldn't be that way. 1 second. What? No, I'm good. My wife was offering me more water. I'm trying to figure out what she's saying. She knows I'm out, I guess.
Anyway, wow.
Yeah. So, anyways, to get back to what I was trying to explain is it's like something that's so hard to believe that your mind actually will convince you that it couldn't possibly be happening. Right? Death of a relative suddenly, and this has got to be a dream. I can't believe this. That's cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
Right. So in a situation like this, it becomes the enemy of society because people say things like that. Oh, so you're a doctor now? No, I never claimed to be a doctor. But what I do know is common sense. I have eyes. Here's a video of an empty field hospital that's taking all the overflow from these totally overrun hospitals. Here's the totally overrun hospital. It's empty. Oh, they wouldn't lie to us.
You video the overrun hospital. There's nobody there. You get in your car, you drive over. Oh, well, maybe they shipped them all over to the overflow hospital.
So I take the ghost.
Go to the overflow hospital, and there's nobody there. I saw the videos, man. I saw the security guard threatening to call the police.
Right. Because I couldn't go inside. And that's another interesting point about this sickness, right? They scare you and say you have to die alone. Look, if my family has a disease and they live with me, how is it that I don't have the disease?
Right.
And I can't walk in the room and be with them in their moment of death if that's the case, right?
Right.
And the other thing is they won't let anyone into a hospital to see what's really going on. Yeah. Because they can't. That's a problem for me. I've walked into some ERs and I've walked into some other places and I can get about as far as the one guy came out and met me. You saw that the police or the guy calling the security guard threatening to call the police.
And he had a mask on, and then the other guard comes out behind him without a mask.
It on. Yeah. I said, I don't know if you saw that. It was just a split second in the video. I said, well, you don't have a mask. And he put it on.
Oh, did he? I didn't see him do that.
Hold on, let me put it.
Oh God, I'm on camera.
Right.
Yeah.
I said it's busy. It's not very busy. He said, well, it's the weekend, and people will fight with me that it is the weekend. So the overrun hospital, the busiest hospital in Detroit, is dead, and it's the weekend. Well, you didn't go to the right entrance. I went to every entrance. Okay. Well, you didn't. It's like that's cognitive dissonance. Like you can't believe it, so you're just gonna fight with me, and that's fine. But at some point, look out the window, look at the world, and go, it's not what I thought it was.
Yeah.
And then help, and then do something to help. It doesn't. You don't have to be the protest organizer. Go to the protest if you can. If you can't, share the video. Whatever it takes. Don't give up your freedom. Don't do that to yourself.
So what is the Trump announced the other day or 2 days ago that, or I think it was 2 days ago that, now we're going to start rolling out the plan to reopen America. I saw our governor saying, hopefully people don't believe that May 1st, everybody's allowed to leave their home. We're going to roll this out slowly. And I'm like, man,
yeah,
I just,
So I think I have theories on why Trump does what he does, and I think it makes sense why he's doing what he's doing. I don't want to get too political with it, so I'll let you guys do your research on that. But I think that our governors are doing the same. Our governor does the same thing. They're reserving the right to keep it going, right?
Yeah.
But what she's not saying though, and every time Governor Whitmer talks, she starts with fear. We're dealing with an enemy that kills. We're dealing. I mean, she starts with the hard line, scare the crap out of people talk, and then she says, "But I'm doing everything I can, and I'll do everything in my power to make sure citizens don't get sick." And what she's really doing is threatening us. You come out of your house, you'll pay. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
And
there was a cough.
yeah, I'm down. Yeah, my neighbor's all in the house. But so she does that, and then she keeps a disclaimer. We're going to roll it out in phases. This can't all happen at once. Basically, restaurants are going to be out of business by the time she gives them the okay. Bars are going to be out of business by the time they get the okay. All of these businesses that require people, hair salons. I haven't had a haircut, man. I don't wear hats all the time. I just can't get my hair cut.
Me too, dude. I'm with you.
But think about the people that I pay to cut my hair.
Right.
They rely on people like me every day coming in to get my hair cut.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you own a business, you own a hair salon, a restaurant, anything like that, and you want to open it, and you're anywhere within an hour and a half of me, tell me. I'll get some people together. We'll come spend money there. I swear to God, I'll do it. I don't care. I'll help you. And we'll call it a peaceful protest under the First Amendment right to peacefully protest the government. We open this in protest. I'll be there. I'll spend money. I'll get a haircut. I'll buy some lunch. I'll buy you lunch. Not everybody lunch. We got a lot of people out here. But you know what I'm saying? Come in and I'll wrangle up as many people as I can, and I'll bring them there to spend the money. I mean, the
problem is they lose their license. Then the state takes away their license to ever do that again. That's the problem.
The problem with that is that going to stick?
Are they willing to take that risk? Is the problem? That's what people are afraid of, dude. They're afraid that if they go, you know what, screw the governor, I have to make a living. Kathy on here says, yes, that's me, a hairstylist. Like, how are you feeding your children if you're a hairstylist? How are you feeding your children if you wait tables and you rely on tips every night? How are they getting by right now?
And that's exactly where I'm at. So I'll be okay for quite a while.
Yeah.
Me the too. Sales people that I train will be okay for quite a while.
Right.
But the roofers and the patio brick paver guys and the painters and the different people that have to install that work, they're 2 weeks from disaster. They're usually younger. They're usually just working on getting ready. They're 3 weeks from disaster, and you're already a month into this thing, and a lot of people can't get on the computer and even get the unemployment to pay because it's so overcrowded. I mean, you've created 22,000 lost jobs in a month in America. Yeah. And Michigan is hit hard by that because we have the big three here, and a lot of people make their money in factories. Time to start going again. I heard they got markers now.
He doesn't have.
I said they got markers now, so he should be good. They're actually called head artists.
Oh, jeez.
But
I think, again, and it's like, hey, we're going to send everybody $1,200 or whatever. Like, dude, how long does that last?
It doesn't. For somebody who is just starting out, a single kid, it's still not even a month. I got to believe. You got insurance to pay for, cars, whatever you're doing. It's not even a month's worth of bills. You're sending me $1,200. You're slapping me in the face and say, "Stay in the house. Here's some money. Shut up."
Has it? And this is a rhetorical question. Has it crossed your mind that why are they sending me $1,200 to stay home? take part of that and go to the grocery store where there's a bunch of other people and
increase unemployment by $600 a week. So some people
I
are
don't
making
get it.
more money staying home than they are going back to work. Why are they trying to crush the economy? That is the question that leads to the power. That is the question that leads to why would they do this? The only reason, and it's worldwide, it's not just here. And that's what's scariest about it. If it were just here, we'd say, oh, they're just trying to take the election next time, right? But it's not that. It's worldwide. This lie is being spread, and this pressure is being put on people all around the world. So now you've got this, hey, let's pay people more money than they would make at work on unemployment. I'm not going to see a dime of any stimulus money, and I don't want it. I told Ange if we got it, I wouldn't cash it. You know what I mean? Like, whatever.
Yeah.
But,
neither would I.
The people. I don't want it. No. So yeah, Mike Hill, let's reopen America. As a bartender in San Diego, didn't they protest in San Diego yesterday? And if so, I'm really proud of that because that's California. I want to see like California in an uproar, man. I would love to see that. But
I told a buddy of mine in California the other day. I said, dude, I think the governor in Michigan might be more of a communist than the governor in California.
Well, you heard it from Ken. I actually was telling. I'm
going to start getting death threats now, dude. Thanks.
I actually was telling some friends and colleagues the other day that I thought California was doing surprisingly well with it. For this position that they usually take out there, I thought they were doing surprisingly well. I would have thought they'd have tanks on the streets in California by now, you know. But I feel like this is the tanks on the streets without the tanks on the streets. The tank is the virus.
Yep.
It's easier.
God, that is so true, man. That is true, dude. It's true.
Yeah. Well, if anybody, I feel like I've said everything I can say, Ken.
I know. What's the solution?
Well, that's the only thing I got left. If anybody has woke up today, hopefully some have. If you know somebody that has to wake up, share this to them.
Here's a quote from somebody. These protesters should be tracked, and when they come down with it, no medical attention. They're selfishly risking others through their greed.
Okay. Well, let me do this. I want to give everybody an idea. Can you put that back up, Ken?
Yeah.
I want to give everybody an idea how to check to see if a profile is real.
No, that he's blocked on my personal page. That's why.
Okay, so that's why. So I mean, there's going to be haters. There's going to be trolls. I might as well give that lesson anyway. Open the profile. If you see the same picture edited to look like different pictures 7 times in a row and no content, it's just a paid troll. So that's happening on my page. I'd say 60% of the bad comments, negative comments I get are just from paid trolls, and I've learned to open them up and look before I even think about any response. And when you get these bad responses, the best thing that I've found to say is thank you for your support and put up American flag emoji and just leave it at that.
Yeah.
But if you've been woke up from this conversation or from any conversation, or if you've already been awake and just want something to do to help, share, be at the event on the 30th. If you're not in Michigan, I'll help you organize an event where you live. I got no problem. I got time. And I'll help. There's others that'll help. If you're here, be there. If you can't be there, be sharing, be watching to make sure, be vigilant to make sure nobody's planting a Nazi flag in somebody's front yard to ruin their name or something. Make sure that you're paying attention to justice, because those things matter.
They do matter. I agree. So go watch the video. I have it pinned on my personal Facebook page. I shared the link a little bit ago. I'm going to share it again right now on all the other pages. Go watch that video of Jason and 100,000 of his friends in Lansing, Michigan. Go watch it. Go check it out. And like my brother says, and stay locked and loaded. So, and Chuck says, I'm not trying to be negative. I know someone personally who's passed from this. And I know of people too that they say have passed of this. And I got to tell you that I don't necessarily believe that it was actual coronavirus that caused it. That's the problem that I think people are missing, is they're saying, well, they said it was coronavirus. The CDC put out a thing. I saw a doctor talking about, and he was pissed off about it, that the CDC told him and told every other doctor, mark down coronavirus. You get extra money for that.
He was a senator in Minnesota, I believe, and a doctor at the same time. That is definitely the solution, Glenn.
Yes, I agree. Glenn, can I give us a plug real quick, Jason?
Heck yeah, it's your show.
So Glenn Morshower and myself, and if you guys don't know who Glenn is, he is best known for playing Agent Pierce on the TV show 24. He's been an actor for 45 years in Hollywood. He's one of my dearest friends. He's a brother to me. Him and I and Scott McCain have a show we do at 8 p.m. on Sundays every week. It's called, and I get top billing. I don't know why, but I get top billing, The Ken and Glenn Show with a guy named Scott. So make sure you follow we have a Facebook page. Look it up and follow us there. But so look, Jamie says it. Follow the money, man. Follow the money.
Hey, Jamie, real quick, follow the money until it ends at the hospitals, and then follow the power and why it's set up the way it is. Because the hospitals get money for having COVID patients. That's set up on purpose because that spikes the numbers. What does the spike in numbers do? Follow that. That's where the answer is.
That's true. Jason, I love you, dude. You're a brother. And I love you. I love what you're doing. I love that you're not letting the fear of judgment and everything else overtake you, man. I love it.
All right. Love you guys. Love you too, man. Anything you guys need, reach out to me. I'll be happy to help you.
Just don't do it by DM. You probably aren't going to get a response.
I'll go through as much as I can. Same with the comments on the videos I do and stuff. I try to get to everybody. I do have people that help respond to. They're not in my name. There'll be other people, but they do help with some of them when there's 25,000 comments or something. It's helpful to have people that feel the same way that can help. Like if you're asking about the event or something like that, there'll be answers.
Wow, dude, thank you, man. The comments are insane. I'm reading so many of the comments as you're talking. Do you see the live comments on the?
I haven't been looking at them. I'm looking at them now.
No, on the right side of StreamYard, there's a thing that says live comments. You can click that and see.
Oh,
them.
I didn't even click it.
I should have told you. I always forget. Yeah, dude.
I'd like a copy of this.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah. Cool. Well, definitely. All right, listen, don't hang up on me yet, dude. But thank you to everybody who's been on here. Thank you for sharing this out. Keep sharing it. Go over to the video where Jason was live for 20 miles. You walked 20 miles.
Yeah, it was just over 20 miles, my step counter said.
Yeah, that was a long time. So go check that video out, and we will see you guys later. Follow us tonight on the Ken and Glenn Show.
Be Americans. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ken.